And it's interesting that you talk about the nuances at a regional or country level, because very often in big-ticket events such as this, I think the focus is sometimes on the more prohibitive forms of energy for, say, the developing world, sub-Saharan Africa being an example. Dare I mention the word coal in a room such as this? But if that is what people have access to and can afford to run with, how do we start to navigate in a meaningful way this transition to net zero? And this one is for you, René. What sorts of initiatives would you, I guess, encourage policymakers or financiers, investors to consider in environments that may not be equipped adequately for the more sophisticated energy forms?
It's a great question, obviously. And I think also, again, especially in Africa, I mean, fresh water might be the larger topic coming up than actually electricity. Thankfully, I think we see globally that the countries which were less privileged in the past actually face like an environment which is actually quite leaning towards the new technologies like PV, for example, right? And as I mentioned before, this combination of PV with reverse osmosis technology, for example, it's almost like a no-brainer. So I would only encourage also the local governments to actually first of all reach out. And as a company, I mean, we have delegations visiting us almost like on a weekly basis, because they just want to understand how this actually can work. And I think it's actually much easier than people might think. I think coal is just dead. I mean, it's actually apart maybe from Europe, which is quite surprising, where you have this significant demand which we need to serve, and with some interesting discussions. So I'm from Germany. Obviously, the nuclear decommissioning is a very interesting decision. Just use British English here, and we don't go back to gas, but actually now burning coal again, which is obviously exactly what you don't want to do, right? But I think in many other countries, America, South America, actually, the new technologies are available, and it's actually more a funding topic for these countries if they can afford this. From my point of view, as a global citizen, I think the more wealthy countries should help also to fund these technologies, because in the end, it's one planet, it's one atmosphere. So having this very focused local view of it's not in my backyard is just